what if we can use AI not only to make new games, but also update historical versions of them? One of my favorite games is Minecraft, and very few people know that a couple of years ago, actually more than a decade ago, the earliest Minecraft versions didn't have their code obfuscated. If we have a look into the version 0.0013, as you can see right here, I believe is one of these two, and if we open up their jars, you can see this one has already switched to obfuscation back in May 2009. But if we open up the version before that, and if we do the same, now voila, you can see we have the entire source code. So my question is, can we use AI to compile it so that we can continue it in our editor? That's number one challenge. And number two is I'm using a 2K monitor, and there are a couple of bugs. Number one, I can't resize this version. And number two, the saving and the loading doesn't really work. And also the terrain is not generated. So the challenge number two is going to be, can we actually fix the old experience? Are you ready? Let's crack into it. So to get started, we need the version that doesn't have the _03, because if you go to minecraft.wiki and you try to download this, you can either try getting the original client or the version that is now available on the launcher. You'll notice that one is a jar file, the other one is a zip file. The zip file is not gonna work, but both are obfuscated. And if we go back on the Wikipedia page, back to the version 13a without the underscore, it says this version is lost. Well, this may come as a surprise. I actually found that Minecraft client had this version archived. Let me show you how I got it. So first of all, make sure to open up the launcher, go to settings, and then tick show historical versions of Minecraft Java Edition in the launcher. Go back to Minecraft Java Editions, go to installation, and I'm just going to be deleting this to show you this process again. Click new installation, and then from version, now you should be able to scroll all the way down and to see these versions. By the way, RD stands for Rabidung, which is a prototype name that Notch initially intended to call this game, and then it became Minecraft. And as you'll notice that the version 0.013 has two different variations. So this is the one that is the final version that is not obfuscated. Anything newer is already obfuscated. So click here, just type in call 0.013a, that's it. And just hit install, make sure to tick launch after install, and then I understand the risk, click play, and there you go. If everything worked properly, now you should be able to open up the game. It is very, very simple. This is the version 2009, so don't expect much, and we're going to be asking AI to help us build on top of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to head to app data. If you are on Mac OS, then you need to be heading to library application support in Minecraft. You can just copy this, go to your Finder, go to Go, copy paste this. On Linux, just use Google. You'll also get a path there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to type in app data to my little run icon right here. If you can't get this running, just go to your start menu, type run, click OK. And then I can see .minecraft folder, inside of which there's a versions folder, and inside of which I'm going to be using this right here for a quick test. I'm going to right click the jar. I'm going to be opening it with WinRAR, for example, just to see that indeed this is the one that we need. You'll notice that there is a JSON file with all of these different libraries, as well as a natives file. Now the challenge is, how can we turn this raw compiled code or bytecode back into Java code that we can edit? And how can we also get these natives? Because these are very important for the operating system so that the graphical engine can properly communicate with your graphics card and can render everything using hardware acceleration. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be getting a Java decompiler. Now, one of my favorite is actually Luten. The problem with this one is that the last version is over 6 years old. We don't really need to care that much because the version we want to decompile is actually from 2009, so it should be fine with it. However, there is an unofficial fork. If you go to Insights, you go to Forks, and you open up the one on the top, you'll notice that someone actually continues working on that, and the latest one is from last year, so it's not that bad. I'm going to be getting the jar version, which is platform independent. Awesome. Now double click it, open the application, drag the jar file on top of it. And now you can see we got everything we needed. Okay. Now, what I want you to do, go to File, Save All, go to your desktop, just type decompiled. You can just leave the name here, hit Save, and just wait until it says done. There we go. Now we can close it, and now you can just extract the zip. There we go. And now if we've done everything properly, now we should see we got the stuff that we need here. Okay, so this is the raw decompiled output. Now, obviously be mindful, this is obviously copyrighted, right? These textures and everything. So I don't want you guys to be publishing it on GitHub, but just follow me here and you should be fine. Now, what I'm going to be doing, let's say I'm going to be calling this project RubbyDunk. So I'm going to rename this folder. I'm going to be opening my cursor right here. I'm going to be dragging this here. And then what I'm going to be doing for this video is I'm going to be using the Claude 3.7 max with thinking. So I'm going to be maxing this to the very limit. And I'm just going to say, I'm trying to import and improve a historical version of Minecraft. First, help me convert this project into Maven. Also a quick tip, when it comes to the context right here, what we can do, we can now use web. So this has been added by one of the recent updates, and then cursor can actually reach out to pull the latest versions of dependency. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to convert this entire project into Maven, which is a build tool, which we can use not only to manage and get the natives, but also manage all these libraries that the historical version of Minecraft used. And then we can also compile it and of course test it. So let's see how far we can go with the first launch. Let's press the button and let's see the magic. And so what I love about this is that it will scan the directory structure to fully understand it. And then it also has access to your PowerShell commands or terminal commands so that it can move files around. It can create new files and also delete old ones. It's pretty magical. So it's very interesting. It even made a README file right here with instructions to get it up and running. It's very smart. And now it's going to try to compile the project. It's going to see what is wrong with it. And it says we need to fix some ambiguous references. So this is very typical. If you try to decompile something, you will end up with compile issues that you need to fix. Back in the days, we just needed to fix them manually. However, as we can see, the AI has made tremendous progress and it even can identify the issues right now and attempt to fix it on its own. So there we go. Now you can see it not only compiled it, it also tried to actually run it. It reads the terminal output and then it says we need to fix the native libraries and hopefully it's going to resolve it. I'm still waiting, by the way. This has been going on for a few minutes now. Everything is automatic. All I've done is typed one prompt, max the mode, select it to thinking max, that's it, and I'm waiting. As you can see, it even launched the project and it failed, and now it's going to, well, hopefully it's going to read why it failed, but it looks like that's about the end. Great, the conversion to Maven has been completed. Okay, so it almost got it right. There is an index out of bounds exception, so there is a buffer overflow somewhere. I honestly have no idea, but honestly, the conversion has been pretty insane. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna copy this issue, close everything down. By the way, it sort of duplicated the files and it placed the same files in the source main Java, which is the right way to do it, but it didn't delete them from their original location. I guess it's just a safety feature. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be deleting all of these files. There we go. Because right now you'll notice that they are properly copied into resources and then into the source code. Now I've installed Java extension pack, but the first run it was not detected. So what I can actually try doing is open a Java process or project folder, and let's see how far we can go with the first attempt. Let's just reopen it then. Let's just close the folder, reopen it again. And hopefully this time it's going to be detected as a Java project. And there we have it. Now we can use, instead of using the old general Explorer in Cursor, we can open up the dedicated Java Explorer, which is going to index the project a little bit faster. It's also going to show you if there's any compile issues faster. So it's a bit better. There we go. Now what I'm going to be using, I'm just going to paste the issue, hit enter, and see the magic. As a quick tip, what I also noticed, if you click the content and you manually add all the files, you can just search for Java and start adding all these files. Not every file is going to be found if you just search for Java. You sometimes have to add them manually file by file, it's going to give you typically better results. Also, what you can do, you can open up cursor settings, you can go to rules, and then in the project rules, we can just create something. Whoa. Okay, so it didn't fix it properly. But what I want to tell you is in the project rules, we can go to add new rule, just, I don't know, my custom rule, and then we can tell it to think deeply about this issue and do not stop investigating until you are confident you see the issue. And here in the context now, what we can do, we can just include cursor rules and my custom rule. There we go. And now we can paste it again. Now, let me actually repaste the latest one because I'm not sure if this is the exact same. There we go. And now, in theory, cursor is going to spend a little bit more time deducing what the problem might be. Looks like not yet. Still exactly the same issue. There we go. And let's actually open up the POM again, and let's just see we're using version 1.8, which is great. And by the way, so this is what I love about this. It not only initialized the whole Maven project, but it also properly imported these all of these dependencies that we need. And then the source is correct. There we go. So I'm just using Java 1.8. I know this old version of Minecraft probably was compiled on 1.5 or 1.6. So there might be an issue with that, but I don't think that it should take a long time to just get it running on 1.8. I'm gonna hit enter. By the way, at this point, I expect you guys to be probably on Java 17 at least, or most of you probably on 21. So I do recommend downloading Java 8 to run this historical version of Minecraft for improved compatibility, but you can try running on 21 and you'll see how that goes. And there we have it, there you go. Oh my goodness, it actually launched it. Now, I moved around, it just literally crashed on me, so I'm gonna copy this. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna open up the context, and let me just add all these different classes to force the AI to have as much context as possible. And you'll notice that some of them you have to literally search by name to select it. I think it's just because there's too many of these Java classes so that they're not all shown in the dropdown. And also be careful selecting .java. Don't select .class because these are actually compiled and they are actually found in the target folder. That means that they contain bytecode. They do not contain code which you can edit, so be careful with that. And you will also notice these two Java _ classes. These are just junk from the decompilation. We can just get rid of them. So I've selected over 40 classes. Let's just paste the issue again, and then let's see what the AI will come up with. Also, at this point, I am maxing the context window. Sometimes I was spending up to $20 per day on this cursor max mode. So just a quick warning, be prepared if you want to do this experiment. Also be prepared to spend some money on it. Oh, and by the way, I'm using the early access cursor version. If you are not seeing this menu to switch to the max mode and you want to, just make sure that in the cursor settings you go to beta, update, early access, and then you restart it, and then you go to help, check for updates. Cool. So what I'm gonna do in the terminal, I'm gonna hit and type run to run it. There we go. And I'm not really sure if this actually compiles the project, but it seems it does because it doesn't crash anymore. Can we actually place anything? No. So the game seems to be working. I can't see my mouse in the pause screen, and then we can't really place or break any blocks. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna press Alt plus F4 and type the problems, and let's see if AI can do it. Now, one advice, if you're having multiple problems, I do recommend only telling the AI one problem at a time, because it typically doesn't give very good results if you mention too many problems. What I've also tested is having a, say, to-do file, to-do.txt file, and you enumerate all of these different problems, and then you let AI work through that file. That also works sometimes, but for the best results, at least for now, again, in the future, AI will get better. For now, let's just stick with one problem at a time. And I noticed that it's using something called the applet mode. So back in the days, you could actually run Java in a browser. I don't know if you guys are older, but if you try to log in into some internet banks, they required you to download Java, which was really annoying. Super happy that it's finally over. And, you know, Minecraft still had that possibility. You could actually log in and play and then save everything that was before the cloud. So you'll notice that there are remains of this inside of it. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go to the main Minecraft class, which is this one, which is already opened. And then you'll notice that there's an applet class, which is another sort of main class if you attempt to run it from the web browser. We can actually just right click, get rid of this class, we don't need it. And then I can tell, get rid of all the applet functionality because we only want to run it from the computer now. And also at this point, I recommend you initialize a Git repository. So the easiest way to do that is using GitHub Desktop Client. You just drag the folder on top of it, add repository, create it, then just create it. Git ignore can be Java, create. And you don't want to push it to GitHub as public, obviously, because of the licensing issues. But what we can do, we can just commit it locally or maybe as a private repo. And then every single time the AI makes some changes, you can simply see those changes exactly, and then you can push them to the history. And that way you have better control over your progress. So it properly looked at that I already deleted the Minecraft applet.java file. And it properly found that there is the reference to the applet mode here. So hopefully it's now going to delete that. Awesome, so that is now done. It even updated the launching scripts to make sure that they work with our desktop application. It starts to rebuild the project, and then it simply says successfully removed. Click accept, and now I'm gonna launch it again. Let's see if the mouse issue is fixed. There we go. The mouse issue is fixed. Yep, seems to be. Now the problem is, if you guys remember at the beginning of this video, the window wasn't sizable, and if I did size it, it would not resize properly. So let's see if the AI can fix that. Just a quick tip, Claude has also released its autonomous agent, I guess. This is a competitor to Cursor, which you can run in your terminal. Not really available for Windows, but if you're using Linux and macOS and you don't want to be using Cursor, you want to be coding in, I don't know, freaking Notepad or IntelliJ or Eclipse like I prefer, you can actually have this whole chat in a terminal window using Claude Code, and then you can simply make the rest of the commits in your preferred IDE. So that way you don't need to be dependent on Cursor. Just a quick insertion there. I'm not being sponsored by Claude, and feel free to try it and let me know in the comments how it works for you. And by the way, I mentioned this GitHub client. So right now we can see that the AI has modified the main class, and now it's modified the two target classes. Okay, so that is a problem here because I forgot to exclude from the git ignore the target folder. And now, unfortunately, the target is still here because we have to do some magic in it. I'm going to ask AI to help me with that. There we go. So I pretended to be a complete beginner, just typed in a very simple prompt. Let's see if the AI is smart enough to fix that. And now it says your conversation is too long. This is going to happen the more often, the more classes you dump into your context window. As you can see, we're having almost 40. Actually more than 40 if you count these two. So we need to copy this. I believe you need to copy and start a new conversation and paste it here. Awesome, so now it even uses my Git on my computer to get rid of these files. And now going back to the GitHub folder, now we can actually delete them. So delete, there we go, okay. And now we can see that the main class has been changed and hopefully the resizing issue is now solved. Can't wait to try it out. So let's see if the the cursor is here. There we go. Rotation is here. I believe if I press G, these crazy little Steves are gonna get spawned. So that's pretty exciting. And now, magical moment. It does work. Awesome. Now the only issue is when I resize it, there seems to be two different buttons. So it did seem to fix the issue. It literally just made this one focused edit. Let me actually check what it did. Yeah, it literally just cleared the old buttons. Awesome. And you'll notice that the level.dat is here. This is generated not by Cursor. This is actually Minecraft's way back in the days of saving the map. I'm really not sure if it works, probably doesn't. But let's see if the scaling issue has been fixed. Nope. Let me try doing a clean install and then run it again to see if the code, yeah, so that was it. So sometimes looks like we need to edit the launch file, edit the run file so that we run a clean install Maven goal each time before running, because sometimes these changes are not being populated instantly. And I think this issue is only in Cursor. I personally use Eclipse, never happens there. And we can import it in Eclipse, and I'll show you some live debugging stuff at the end of this video. So we have one final issue to fix, that is the block breaking and block placement. As you can see, the block selector is working if I press my numerical keys on my keyboard, but I can't place or break any blocks. And now the AI is working on fixing the block placement. So this is what it is done so far. And I love how clean and minimalistic those edits are. So previously last year, it used to over-engineer the hell out of it. And it would like create like a new class, like over-the-top solutions. Right now, it seems to be pretty good. Can't wait to try it out. Nope, can't freaking do it. And I also noticed that there are methods for tunnels, for lava, for even different creations inside the level, but when we join, we only have this ugly flat thing. So I may ask the AI to fix that later. And I think it's personally quite fascinating that we can compile code almost exactly the same as it was in 2009. Java is a very, very good language for that, for backwards compatibility. Even my students that take my classes will be able to read this code because the way that we teach it is very universal. And also Java is quite conservative language, does not change drastically. Like if you learn Java today, you'll be able to read code from 2005, possibly even back to the early 2000s. And this is, one of the great things about Java. You can learn it once and then you can just read Java code across the entire history of it, and hopefully you'll be able to make some changes. Awesome, guys. So many edits later, I was actually able to solve that issue. And as you can see, there were some previous edits. So it even looks like the game is being saved, even though these buttons do not work. I can totally see that the pile that I built right here is being saved. So how did I solve that? I guess just patience. I just kept asking AI to give me more debugging stuff. Eventually it came out with an issue. Eventually it solved it, but the problem was that it was reversed. And basically I was looking up and then the selection was on the opposite direction. And then I noticed that it was lazy and it hallucinated like a completely new way of doing things. So I just said, hey, let's reverse it and let's just use the old way. And I've actually used the decompiler again. I copy paste the old method for picking, and then I just forced it to focus on fixing this one particular method, and it did it correctly. Now, also, there was a problem. It says, I noticed we're still having issues. So when I've seen that and I tested it and I noticed that it does work, I immediately stop executing because it's probably going to overcomplicate itself. And this is one of the sort of current state of AI bugs where sometimes, these things can happen. But hey, at least we have fully functional Minecraft. We can place blocks, we can resize the window. If you have obviously computer monitors got bigger, right, in the last 15 years or so. So that's fantastic. Now, before I finish this video, one other thing that I wanted to show you is how to fix this terrain. So it is flat, but we do have the code for the level gen. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna paste this right here. I noticed we have a code for level gen with caves. There we go. So I typed in the message. By the way, make sure to save your progress. You do not want to let the AI to again come up with some crazy complicated solutions. So I'm gonna save everything and then hit send, and let's see how long this is gonna take. So the old issue took about 15 minutes to solve, so not that long actually. I significantly noticed that there are improvements in the model. Okie dokie, so the first attempt, and I had to regenerate the level. Remember that previously it was saved. Whoa, the second attempt isn't that bad. Like it looks better, there is progress. Yes, We have some terrain, but it's still not what it was supposed to look like. So yeah, this is how it's going to look like. Notice there are no trees there, so maybe we can, you know, add them later, but it's pretty bare bone. I mean, this is what you get back in 2009. It's crazy how Minecraft has evolved. I've also downloaded some resource packs, which I'm going to be experimenting to change these textures. And looks like the hate map, yep, it's being built right here. However, this is still not it. There we go, ladies and gentlemen, we've officially fixed a historical version of Minecraft. I also found if I press R, I get teleported to a random location in the map, which is pretty cool. As a last thing I wanted to show you, I'm going to be playing with these textures. Awesome, guys. So I played around in Photoshop and I actually backported the textures from version 1.2.5, including the grass. However, the 1.2.5 version, it doesn't have any color for the grass. You'll notice that this is how they look like. So I literally had to colorize the texture manually. Again, probably we could get there in due time, and this is how it looks. You'll notice a little bit more modern. If you guys prefer the old school vanilla feel, we could probably implement the modern block placement and block break-in, but I don't want to spend, you know, extremely amount of time making one video. I want to keep it real. I really don't like these other AI fake videos where there is a thumbnail and people spend, you know, like 12 hours preparing and then they tell you that they spent 15 minutes. I want to keep it real. This is what you can do in a span of just around 70-80 minutes. I think it's very impressive. We've actually fixed this Minecraft, which I did not expect. And I've also noticed there is a multiplayer code. So I've actually imported it into Eclipse. Eclipse has a really cool thing called the debugger. I do have a video on how to run a Minecraft plugin inside a Minecraft server in one of my other videos. You can check it out. I don't want to spend another 20 minutes explaining how to do that, but essentially I can run it in Eclipse and then I can make changes into the code and then the game will reflect the changes instantly, which is really cool. But back to what I wanted to say, there is actually a little bit of code for the server. So there is a preliminary support for multiplayer. Now, if you're interested, I'm going to give you a small challenge. If you've watched this video so far, try to make this work and try to actually launch this as a server and then try to launch 2 different clients and try to join the server and play together. See if that works. I've also noticed some funny debug messages from, I think, Notch himself that he left here. Holy moly, and then it happened right here. So try to get these messages up. I think it has to do something with flood. So if you don't know how the old water worked, there is no water physics. And if I have a body that is empty and I try to fill it with water, there we go. Now the water is filled. And then what people actually did, they would like hack into the map and try to flood the entire thing. So I guess this code will, you know, pop this here. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this very interesting video. I haven't had done anything like that before. So let me know in the comment section how you liked it, if you got any tips, if you reproduced this. I obviously, for legal reasons, can't share the finished code, but I think if you follow everything, you're going to get a very similar, if not the same result. Best of luck, and I'll see you in the next one.